The movie begins with Rick Riker, an awkward high school student who seems invisible to the world. He's bullied every single day, mocked by classmates, and only has one loyal friend, Trey. Their school is heading on a field trip to a high-tech animal research lab, and for once, Rick hopes to stand out. As the bus rolls toward Empire City's laboratory, Rick secretly watches Jill Johnson, the girl of his dreams, kind, smart, and dating the worst guy possible, the arrogant bully Lance Landers. But fate has something wild planned for Rick. At the lab, the class is greeted by the eccentric Dr. Strom, who proudly explains that all the animals inside have been genetically modified. Rick, curious and clumsy, approaches Jill and pretends he's photographing animals for the school newspaper. Ignoring the doctor's warnings, he takes a photo, and the poor bird he snaps bursts into flames instantly. As Rick panics and tries to put out the fire, he accidentally kicks the burning bird right into Lance's face. The bully charges at him, ready to punch his lights out, when Lance's uncle, the rich and powerful Lou Landers, steps in. Lou recognizes Rick's last name and says he once knew his parents. Rick reveals his parents are gone, and he now lives with his Aunt Lucille and Uncle Albert. After Lou leaves, Lance gets revenge by shoving Rick into a pile of animal waste. Desperate to clean himself up, Rick grabs a bottle that looks like water and pours it on his shirt, but it's actually a powerful pheromone made for animal reproduction. Within seconds, every creature in the lab goes wild, charging toward him, including a glowing mutant dragonfly that bites him on the neck. That night, Rick stumbles home feverish and delirious. His aunt and uncle think he's just having hormonal issues, but in reality, something incredible is happening inside him. Meanwhile, at the lab, Lou Landers reveals to his team that he's dying and has built a machine to drain life energy to extend his own. The demonstration goes horribly wrong, or perfectly right. Lou touches an employee and instantly drains their life, turning young and powerful. Lou Landers has just become the Hourglass. The next morning, Rick wakes up completely healed, stronger, sharper, and strangely energetic. When he searches online for answers, a mysterious user messages him saying they know what's happening and will meet him soon. At school, the students attend a science fair with the legendary Stephen Hawking as guest. Rick tries to act normal, but discovers he's gained bizarre powers. His hands stick to everything, and he accidentally rips a water fountain off the wall, launching it straight at Lance. A fight breaks out. Rick's reflexes are superhuman, dodging punches like lightning, until he loses focus and gets pummeled. The chaos ends with Hawking accidentally thrown into a hive of bees. Total disaster. Dejected, Rick walks home, but experiments with his powers. He discovers he can climb walls like an insect. When an old woman nearly gets run over by a truck, Rick leaps in and stops the entire vehicle with his bare hands. The crowd cheers, until they realize he's accidentally thrown the poor woman into a garbage crusher. Heroic? Maybe not yet. Back home, Rick tells his Uncle Albert and Trey about the bite and his new abilities. To test him, Albert fires a nail gun, and Rick catches the projectile midair. Then he fires at Trey, who collapses instantly. That's enough proof. Rick is no ordinary teen anymore. That night, Rick stares at his father's old ring and remembers the day his parents were killed during a mugging, a tragedy he partly blames himself for. His father's last words echo in his mind: sell their Google shares because the company has no future. Poor advice and a fortune lost. The next day, Rick runs into Jill outside. She opens up about wanting to be a dancer, not a college student. But when Lance arrives in his flashy car, Jill leaves with him, though she gives Rick a hopeful smile. Determined to impress her, Rick looks up car prices online, but he's broke. He receives another video from the mysterious online user, though it's corrupted beyond understanding. Later, while at the bank with his aunt and uncle, a robber bursts in. When the thief can't escape through a locked door, Rick actually helps him get away. Moments later, his Uncle Albert is shot outside. As he dies, he tells Rick, with great power comes great responsibility. Meanwhile, Lou Landers, now fully transformed into the Hourglass, discovers he must drain one life every day to survive. His hunger for power grows. At the hospital, Jill visits Rick, who learns his uncle might not make it. Lost and heartbroken, Rick wanders the city until he's stopped by a bald man in a wheelchair, Charles Xavier himself. Xavier claims to have been the one contacting him online and invites Rick to join his school for gifted mutants. At the academy, Rick meets strange students with ridiculous powers. One can stretch his body, another can sneeze people to death. He even meets Wolverine, Storm, and the Invisible Woman. Xavier's wife explains that every hero must first create their own costume. Inspired, Rick rushes home to design his suit. After days of trial and error, Rick finishes his superhero outfit, the Dragonfly. Trey visits and mocks the missing eye holes, but Rick adjusts it and sets out on his first night patrol. On a rooftop, he meets the Human Torch, who lights himself ablaze and immediately panics because it's too hot. Rick's fire extinguisher attempt doesn't help. Determined, Rick leaps off a building and instantly faceplants. Turns out, he can't fly. But soon people begin noticing a new hero in Empire City. Dragonfly rescues citizens, stops crimes, and becomes the city's bizarre but beloved protector. In the lab, Dr. Strom warns Lou Landers that without draining a life daily, he'll die. Lou smirks. He already has a plan. Meanwhile, Rick learns he can make money by selling photos of Dragonfly. He brings them to a newspaper office, only to be greeted by a screaming lunatic, a mental patient mistaken for the editor. The real boss emerges, demanding action shots of Dragonfly instead. Suddenly, news breaks of a crisis at Empire University. Rick suits up and rushes there, confronting a terrifying new villain, Hourglass. The two battle across the campus, fists and quips flying, until the villain uses razor-sharp blades to wound the young hero. Hourglass escapes, leaving Rick battered but alive. That night, Rick's aunt reminds him that heroes must protect their secret identities because villains target the ones they love. Her words haunt him. Later, Rick attends Jill's dance performance, but when she's ambushed by thugs on her way home, Dragonfly swoops in, taking them down with comedic efficiency. Jill kisses the mysterious hero, unaware he's actually Rick. Days later, Jill joins Rick's aunt for dinner, along with Lance and his uncle, none other than Lou Landers. Rick sneaks home as Dragonfly and nearly gets caught when Landers enters his room. After a tense near discovery, Rick appears at the dinner table pretending nothing's wrong, though Landers spots injuries on his arm. The dots begin to connect. That night, Rick confesses to Jill that he knows Dragonfly personally. She admits she's in love with the hero, not realizing she's talking to him. Their moment is cut short when a deafening fart from Aunt Lucille literally shakes the house. And moments later, Hourglass bursts in. The villain exposes Rick's identity and drains Aunt Lucille's life before vanishing into the night. Rick rushes her to the hospital, but it's too late. The next day, tragedy strikes again as Rick's uncle, now awake from his coma, learns his wife is gone. At the chaotic funeral, even the coffin catches fire. Rick's world crumbles. Heartbroken, he distances himself from Jill, telling her he can't be with her. He won't risk losing another person he loves. Days blur together as Rick isolates himself, drowning in guilt and failure. But Trey and Albert refuse to let him give up. They remind him that Empire City still needs its hero. And out there, Hourglass is planning something catastrophic to drain the life of thousands at once. Soon, the city prepares for a grand awards ceremony filled with celebrities and public figures. Rick suspects Hourglass will strike there. As the event begins, Lou Landers receives an honorary award, all while preparing to unleash his deadly plan. Backstage, Rick confronts him, asking if he knows who Hourglass really is. Lou smirks and jokes that maybe it's the Dalai Lama, but when the curtain rises, chaos explodes. Dragonfly attacks the Lama on stage by mistake, and the entire event erupts into pandemonium. In the madness, Jill notices the draining device on Lou's wrist and realizes he is the Hourglass. The villain activates his weapon, sucking the energy from everyone around him. Dragonfly charges in, and the final showdown begins. Jill is struck by a flying blade meant for Rick, collapsing in his arms. Encouraged by the paralyzed Stephen Hawking, Rick refuses to give up. He hunts Hourglass through a collapsing building, crashing into a costume convention. The villain flees in his hovercraft, but Rick clings to it. The bomb Hourglass throws sticks to Rick's suit, so he flies straight toward the villain, detonating at point blank. The explosion engulfs them both. Hourglass is destroyed, but Jill falls from the skyscraper. Rick dives after her, catching her midair. She sees his father's ring and realizes the truth. Dragonfly is Rick. She kisses him, unlocking his true power. Glorious wings burst from his back, and together they soar over Empire City, until a helicopter smacks right into them. If you were suddenly given superpowers like Rick, what would you do first? Tell me in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join great animation recaps for more epic movie stories just like this one.